Aloha! Hey guys, it's Wendy Hutchinson with Alinea Life Coaching. I thought I'd check in today. I hope you're all doing well, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. There were so many topics kind of swirling around in my mind today. I was wondering what I felt like talking about. And I kind of circled back to this story I wanted to share about my family of origin, because our family of origin story really shapes who we are as adults. And a lot of us don't have an awareness around that. So, what is your family of origin story? Your family of origin story is the foundation of everything that you are. It's part of it is your ancestry and your history and how you were raised by your parents. So your culture is a big part of it. Your religion, if you are practicing a religion, I was raised Catholic, so that really played into my family of origin story. I'm also, obviously, I'm Asian, part Hawaiian, part a million other things. I'm what they would call a poi dog in Hawaii, just a mix of everything. So there are a lot of cultural influences that went into creating who I am today, my values, or what I thought were my values. And they really play a strong and significant role in who we become as adults. So our family of origin story also can be one of trauma or abuse. It can be difficult. Mine wasn't, fortunately. But whatever we've experienced as children, we create coping mechanisms and we create stories to help us kind of make sense of our world from a very early age, maybe 4, 5, maybe even younger. And we develop these coping tools on how we are going to adapt and show up in our lives. And we carry these tools that we formulated really young in our lives into our adult lives. So I just wanted to share my family of origin story with you, and you might see some parallels or maybe be able to draw some conclusions for yourself around how your history or ancestry or culture has really created who you are today. And maybe the person that you are today is not who you are authentically. And by that, I mean, who you are today is who your family and friends and culture and religion expects you to be. But that's not authentically who you are. You do it because you've been programmed to show up a certain way in your life. So I'm going to circle back to my family of origin story. My family of origin story is I was raised Catholic. And I mean, my grandparents were very Catholic. So I went to church from a very early age, every Sunday. And then when I was old enough to get ready to take my first Holy Communion, I went to church on Saturdays to study catechism, and then Sundays in preparation for my first Holy Communion as a Catholic. But what I found being raised Catholic and also being raised Asian is a feeling or belief that I internalized that I was not good enough, because my religious background really stressed how much we were all sinners. You're always a sinner. You know, everything you did was a sin. And then you feared being a sinner, and you also feared going to hell. So that was another a big, thing they kind of reinforced constantly when I was a kid, being exposed to that religion. I'm no longer practicing that religion, but that was one of the foundations that shaped me. So one of the things I internalized from that experience was, I'm not good enough. Because you're never good enough. You have to go in. I used to have to go in every Saturday to church, into the confessional, and confess all my sins from the age of 7. And I'm really troubled by that to this day, because I believe all children are so pure and such light beings, and they come in that way, that you should not be forced to go in at the age of 7. And I literally would have to make up sins. I mean, I was 7. I wasn't a sinner. So I'd have to sit in that pew and like make shit up to go in and tell the priest, and you had to do it. It was like required. You couldn't go in and go, I had a really good week this week. That wasn't allowed. You had to come up with some shit. So I would sit in that pew as the line got shorter and shorter to my turn, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'd be making shit up. But anyway, so that was one of the things that kind of was really prevalent and really embedded in my psyche from an early age, was I'm not good enough. And then you layer that on with that Asian gold standard. For those of you who aren't Asian, when you are raised in an Asian culture, you are raised to thrive and strive. You strive, you achieve, you hit markers, and there are expectations. And you better be, number one. That is the goal. And that's reinforced with your culture. I mean, your parents want you to bring your A game. And when I say A game, don't bring home a low A, okay? You better bring home an A+. Don't even think about bringing home a B+, because you're going to be asked when you get home, why didn't you get an A? So there's this relenting pressure to perform. And strong performance means you're worthy. So when you are hitting those markers, you get tremendous reinforcement and love and adoration. And when you suck and you're struggling, and let's face it, we're all human. So we have those moments where we sort of slide, okay, some of you may not. You may be even Asian perfection, and, congratulations. That was just something I could never reach. I was always like good, but not good enough. So my whole life, I was always trying to chase this carrot of perfection, right? Trying to be better, trying to hit those markers, wanting to get recognized, because if you hit the markers, then you were loved more. That's basically how it worked. So, anyway, long story short, what that did was it created this real perfectionism tendency, where I felt like I needed to be perfect. And that was formed from my family of origin story. Those beliefs were culturally programmed into me. It was also, because of my genetics, programmed into my DNA. And so I had to do a lot of work the last, gosh, I don't know how many years, more than 10 for sure, to first of all recognize that I was a product of that programming, and also to recognize that, these values don't resonate with who I am. They're not really my truth. But I was so conditioned to show up a certain way, it never occurred to me that I could have my own belief system, that I could follow my own inner compass, that I could be something other than the person that my family, my culture, my religion wanted me to be, which was Asian perfection. And I fell short, because nobody's perfect, right? So I spent a lot of years just chasing that illusion and trying so hard to be better and do better and raise Asian perfection kids. So it's like, the pattern continues, right? The pattern repeats. And I have already apologized to both of my children for trying to shove them in those boxes that none of us belong in. We really belong in our own lane. And I firmly believe that we are here to be the fullest and best expression of ourselves. And what that looks like is figuring out why we're here, who we are, what lights us up, what are my skill sets, you know, what is my soul kind of calling me to do? And it's really hard when you realize that you've been living this, I won't say lie, but you've been really dimming your light, and you've been really compromising yourself to fit in boxes that you don't belong in. And when I figured out who I was and why I was here, it was nothing like that corporate model or Asian perfection model that I had been programmed for. And it really created a lot of discomfort and discord inside of me because I had to choose me. And when you choose yourself, and it takes a lot of courage, because you're going to get so much pushback when you stop pleasing everybody and doing what everyone expects you to do, and when you stop showing up the way everyone wants you to show up, and you start to kind of go rogue and follow your own path, it's really, really tough. Because, well, for me, I wanted to be in service to people, so I became a certified life coach. For those of you who don't know, I help people kind of come back to and find themselves, because I did it myself, so I know how to do it. You know, I've got a template that I've created, right, on how to do that. But the hard thing was having the courage to stand in my power, which is tough if you don't think you're good enough, because you're kind of like, well, I really think I want to go this direction, and then have a lot of people tell you you're crazy. So for me, I became an energy healer. I am a healer. That's who I am. I've been a healer in many lifetimes. It's just part of who I am, whether I'm practicing any energy healing or just talking to people energetically. Something happens. I honestly, I can't tell you what it is. Vibrationally, when I connect with people, I'm able to pull suffering out of people. I've been able to do that my entire life. It's not something I consciously do. It just happens. So I don't know how that happens, how it works, but energetically, I've been told by my higher selves in meditation, and even just a knowing that I'm an activator. So when I speak to people, activations happen. This has happened my entire life. That those activations can happen and feel like, for a lot of people, they get triggered and angry at me. And I'm just talking, and all of a sudden they're misinterpreting what I'm saying. They're pissed off. They're hanging up. I'm just like, what just happened? Well, I activated something, all right. You know, I triggered something, whether it was their insecurity or they're feeling less than, and they just like came after me, you know? So that's one of the things that I am. I'm a healer as a being. That's just who I am. And I'm also, I'm an activator. I activate and trigger releases for people. Things they need to shed and release kind of organically happens when I speak to people. So anyway, let me wind back around. And sorry, you know what? I talk with my hands a lot. I know you noticed that. My husband makes fun of me, but so I do talk with my hands a lot. But back to my story of origin, I had created this persona based on that idea, that and belief. I really believed it, that I was not good enough, that I needed to be perfect, and also this belief that I needed to always serve others and never serve myself. Like it was selfish if I was to practice self-care or to ask for help, or and I know that what I'm saying is touching a nerve with a lot of women out there, people who are conditioned and programmed to give everything away. And it took me to my knees. Eventually I had a breakdown. 2013. I had a really intense breakdown. And it was really hard, but it was also one of those dark night of the soul moments where you have to it's forcing you to really look at yourself because you're just so destroyed that you have no choice. You just can't even function. You're just trying to survive your day. And it went on for quite a while. But it was such a pivotal piece because I think what was happening was I kept trying to be this person that I wasn't. And the person that I truly am was emerging. And so it just kind of was creating this distortion within me. And it was really tearing me up. I just couldn't do it anymore. And that's when I really started to step into who I am and had to take time to discover truly who I am, which leads me to this now moment. So I'm asking you to think about your story, your, family of origin story. What shaped you back then? Or what is coming up? What emotions are being triggered in you right now that are triggering emotions that you may have had as a child of not being seen, of not being appreciated, of not being heard, of not being good enough? Because these things are being triggered by our everyday circumstance, but they roll all the way back to its origin from our childhood. I'm finding a huge push. I'm being pushed so hard right now, you guys, to speak my truth and to show up here. So you're going to notice I'm going to be up here. I'm going to be here. Get tired of seeing my face because I'm going to be out here sharing information that has resonated and helped me on my journey. Because I just have this inner knowing and this inner push. Like, it's one of those things, you guys, like if I don't do it, it just starts pressing me so hard. Like, be like, I don't feel like doing a video today. And I'll be like, I feel like I need to. And then I'll kind of ignore it. And then it's 9 at night and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't do this video, So, yeah, look out for me. I'm going to be showing up a lot on your feed, or just keep scrolling, just keep scrolling, whatever you want to do. But I'm encouraging you to kind of pay attention to your family of origin story because it really does shape who we are. And then take it a step further and figure out what were some of my survival patterns that I created based on that family of origin story. For me, they were play small, be invisible, don't draw attention to you, don't make people uncomfortable. Because when I show up like full octane, like all me all the time, it's freaking powerful, okay? Like, I show up and people feel it. And I wasn't ready to hold that or acknowledge that or claim that when I was younger. I was a little afraid of my power, to be quite honest. I was afraid of who I could become. I had this knowing inside that there was some greatness in there. And I was afraid that I would lose everybody if I stepped into my power, that I would lose my partner in life. My husband would be like, I can't handle you. Or my family, my extended family, my kids, because when I'm here showing up every day, full octane, full love, heart wide open, I know I can be a bit much for people, but that's who I am. That's who my authentic self is. And I'm going to show up every freaking day as the fullest and highest expression of me. There's no more dimming my light, playing small, being invisible, trying to fit in frickin' boxes I don't belong in. Screw that. And I'm going to encourage you all to figure out who you are and why you're here. Because you are here at this time for a very specific reason. You are here to share your gifts and help others in some way, whether it's your immediate family, your friends, or if you're in a business, to touch people through your business, your passion, your light. It's time. You came into this life for this very reason at this very time. So get real clear that you need to step up because people need you. And you need to step up for yourself first. And I had to figure that out on my own. I had to figure out who I am and why I'm here. And you know what? People are not going to like it at first. They're going to, especially the people who benefit from you doing everything for them at your own expense, especially for that relative that thinks they own you and can tell you how to live your adult life. I don't think so. So my message today is figure out your history, figure out who you are, figure out what's true and not true, get curious as to why you, this amazing person, continues to dim your light and let fear keep you playing small. It's time to stop that. And yeah, I had no idea I was going to be getting so intense here today. So that's all I have to say. I love you all. Shine your light. Don't dim your light. And the world needs you right now. So I hope you take my message to heart and do some thinking and processing. And I am a coach or a mentor. So if you need help with your process, and I mean, if you are ready to change your life and your narrative and really step into the fullness and greatness of who you are, shoot me a message. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Love y'all. Bye.